Here we are.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I just want to say again, the colour. The colour is popping on you. Loving it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I discovered it in the back of the wardrobe.
Very nice. Very nice. So, welcome everyone who's listening in, watching in. I trust you've been enjoying Automatic Mouth thus far. Please drop us a line if there's anything that you're interested in hearing us waffle on about and get excited about, get inappropriate about. We're good at all of that. Yeah. And as always, just off the get-go, please remember to like and subscribe. It really does help us to grow our audience and be able to get more content and build what we're doing. So we thank you for those who already have done so. Now that that's done, moving on, I've got a very exciting content to talk about today. I think that every week, though, don't I? To be honest.
Yeah, but because they always are dying, and you would never hear me say otherwise.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm very excited about this one, however, because no, I don't need any because. I'm just going to say I'm very excited about this one, and I'm excited to hear your take on it, Adam, as always. So it came from my brother actually sent me a video, and he said, "Ali, check this out. This seems like your jam." He's never been wrong about that anyway. Wrong about plenty else. And Steve, if you're listening, I've kept a list. However, so this video, what the guy was talking about is when hurt people spend all their energy helping other people. Now, this touched a nerve with me, not in a bad way. We know there's no such thing anymore, do we? Triggers are great.
Absolutely.
Triggers are great. However, I have seen, and I know you have too, Adam, we've had discussions about this, that there is, unfortunately, plenty of people within the coaching industry who have big, beautiful hearts and are very well-intentioned in wanting to help others.
Yeah.
However, there's a disproportionate amount of energy that is put into helping themselves. They tend to put all their focus into helping other people and neglect their own traumas, needs, growth, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that spills out. So now in this video that I was sent, I'll tell you the metaphor that was used, and it's just banging. I love it. He says, so if you've got a glass of water, Adam, and I piss in it, no amount of sugar added to that glass of water is going to get rid of my piss, is it? And I'm like, right, yep, I'm in. You've got me. I am all in.
I heard the P word. I'm in.
Yes. He's using profanity. I am all in with this guy. And it's so true. And so let me put it another way. So say you break your leg. Your leg's broken. You can go to the gym and do all the, push-ups, press-ups, whatever, work in your arm muscles as much as you want. You can go to the hairdresser and get your hair fixed. You can go and get a facial. You can go and do all these wonderful things for yourself. It's not going to change the fact that your leg is broken. It's not going to fix your leg, is it? Strength in your arms will not fix your broken leg. The same is true of the mind and our mindset and our trauma and our childhood, our upbringing, our beliefs, our values. The same is true of all of that. Building something good does not erase the bad thing. It doesn't matter how much you build it up. It's not going to erase it. It's going to still be there. It will stay there the whole time. And I think that's where we see, this is my opinion now, just letting you know. I think we get to a point where what I'd like to say is that no amount of helping others will erase the wounds within the self. And if you spend all your energy helping others and ignore the wounds within yourself, what you end up with is burnout resentment, and that seesaw life where you get on a high because you've helped someone and then you drop to earth with a thud because you've been triggered or because you feel like crap or you feel empty or you feel... So then you look for the next client that you can help to get the high. That itself is a red flag that, hang on, if I'm looking for clients' highs, clients' healing in order to feel good, then inside is where I actually need to put more of my energy and focus. Thoughts, Adam? Discuss. Over to you.
Oh God, it's yeah. First of all, when I first saw that video myself, I was like, oh yes, like go on, my son. You know, get in there. It's you know, I mean, it deeply resonated with me, and I sent it on to a couple of other people, and you know, it resonated with them as well. Had a complete appreciation for the guy, which his name is now. So it's Dr.
It's escaped me as well.
It's but he was on Stephen Bartlett's podcast, Diary of a CEO, and he had a very valid point. You know, everyone's you know, everyone wants to chime in and talk about, you know, give their advice, etc., and but they haven't actually dealt with their own stuff, you know. But it's look, it's an invitation, isn't it, to really look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you know, when that analogy of, you know, if you've got a glass with somebody's walked along and somebody's pissed in your glass, no amount of sugar is going to remove the piss from the glass. You know, it's always going to be there. And I think that is a very big point with, well, look, you've had trauma, I've had trauma. We've come across some, you know, lots of, you know, big things. Trauma is trauma. Would we want to erase it anyway? Was the next question. What do you think? You know, would we want to erase it anyway? I know I know some of them are, you know, some things that have happened to me, I think, God, you know, when you tell other people, you see their faces as you're telling the story, but I wouldn't change any of it because it's all added up to me, and I quite like me.
Yeah, well, there comes the difference as well, though. Yeah. It's not about, you know, the work that we do, the work that good coaches can do and personal development is about. It's not about erasing the events from your past, because, yes, those events, like it or not, they shape how we show up today, don't we? It's not about erasing the events. It's about disconnecting the emotion to the event that's holding you back today. That's you know, if you have a negative emotion attached to an event, that emotion is what triggers today. If you have not dealt with the emotion back in that time, because the emotion in the event can be very valid, can't it? Very valid. However, how is that emotion about that event serving you 20 years down the track?
Yeah, because our nervous system, it's holding all that stuff, so it's kind of regulate. You know, the regulation of that really does require some very specialised trauma informed care, doesn't it? Exactly.
And so and of course, I also want to add to this, Adam. It's not about you have to put on hold helping others. No, there is so much to be gained from helping others and passing on what you learn and supporting other people. It's a beautiful thing, and we need lots of really good helpers out there. However, it's about giving the same amount of priority to your own wounds as well. Because if you do not focus on your own wounds, you're going to keep getting triggered and you're going to keep looking externally to be lifted, I guess, and fed, you know, and eventually that's not going to be enough. And your own demons, your own wounds, they're going to fester and they will come and they will bite you in the ass. And then everyone around you will be thinking, oh, what the heck, you were such a helpful person, or you were so inspiring, or you were so this or so that. You didn't pay attention to your needs. And there's that old saying, isn't it, that, probably pisses a lot of people off. The whole aeroplane thing, put your oxygen mask on before you put it on anyone else. It really does apply here when it comes to trauma. If you want to help other people discover the best versions of themselves and be true to themselves, you must put the amount of time, energy, effort, love, compassion, all of those things into yourself, and appreciating who you are and acknowledging the things that have shaped you and what you're still holding on to.
And sometimes that work is never finished.
No, it's new levels, isn't it? It just becomes more complex.
New levels, because when you think, when you're dealing with that doctor was saying it's not only the approach to the approach to trauma and healing was really what he's talking about. The trauma is not, it's not only a reaction to that major life event, but the additional trauma can keep coming from those very subtle, repeated emotional wounds. Exactly. So we talked about triggers the other day, right? Yeah. So those hidden traumas really do impact your emotional responses. I mean, I've had many times myself, and I think, oh yeah, that's dealt with. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that anymore. And then all of a sudden, the tiniest thing will happen, and you fly off the handle again. Because really, self-esteem, all of that stuff, relationships, all of it's affected. And I think if you are going to be doing healing, it's healing involves you got to address those experiences and really develop a much more self-supportive mindset to release self-supportive. Because looking externally all the time, it's just you never get. If that's you're searching for validation. Only you validate you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really advice for anyone that feels stuck, and we all go through it, don't we? But it's self-reflection and the courage to confront the emotional pain directly head on. It's the only way.
It does take real courage. I agree with that, because it's not about the surface pain. Often when we get triggered, I think it's easier to deal with the surface emotion and again, we tend to, when we get triggered, we tend to throw it externally, don't we? They triggered me. That person did something wrong. It's all them. It takes real courage to go deeper, because many of us, I used to be like this. Many of us are not ready to unlock the pain that we've held on to for so long in regards to some of our traumas. And to feel it, it's that, in my head anyway, I used to think, if I allow myself to feel it and then, have an emotion about it, maybe I won't stop. Maybe I won't be able to control myself. Maybe. It was all that feeling of losing control. And so as long as I could not go deep into the core.
You didn't really have control anyway. You just, you'd given yourself I think that's control, and that's what I'm going to call it. And but you're not okay.
It's a cage. It's not control. It's a cage.
Oh, I love that.
And you
I don't love that. I mean, I love that description.
It's a great description. Yeah.
God, you know what I mean?
Love that in a cage, Ali. Get it? Anyway, moving on. And so it takes courage. It takes the right kind of support as well. And because it took support for me to take that dive, to feel the pain, in a safe space where I could be guided on how to love myself through it, because that was such a difficult thing. And it's easier, to be honest, rather than do that, it's easier to learn the tools, see them as very black and white. This is just a tool, and I'm going to teach you the tool, or I'm going to guide you through the tool, and it's going to be great. And then vicariously you sort of think, oh, yeah, that felt great. Instead of turning the tool and doing it yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. You didn't do the digging.
Exactly.
It's really, it's really worth exploring those inner thoughts, isn't it?
For sure.
And emotions. That self-reflection is absolutely the key to understanding your inner drives and motivations. NLP will do that. Other modalities as well. Especially after you've had a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
It's best to just deal with it right there and then, which sounds ridiculous. People are like, oh, just leave me alone. I just want to. It's like, no, actually, get stuck in. You have to get stuck in. But having self-compassion and really just being gentle with yourself, isn't it? Just change it from self-criticism to a much more understanding perspective, acknowledging it, saying, you know what, yep, it happened. Whatever it was, it happened, and that's what I thought about it. And so I said, but why was that? How do I feel about it now? Really try and build yourself some practical steps towards that sort of self-acceptance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And by doing that, that's what you were touching on a little bit earlier, Adam, is that it's an ongoing process, because once you've accepted a part perhaps of an event, of your life or a trauma or something that happened, and then you move on with a bit of a different perspective or a different emotion attached to it or whatever it might be. And what happens is you level up in your knowledge of yourself. And the more that you allow yourself to deep think and be with people that you trust and self-reflect, you do it more so with compassion. Now, what I mean by this, both you and I have taken the inner deep dive on people-pleasing. And both of us at the time, when it was suggested to us that we were you're a people pleaser.
Oh, yeah.
No.
What?
No.
What?
No, I'm not that. And however, compassion, curious, and actually have a look at yourself and the role and what it means to you, all those things. And the feeling that comes out of it is so freeing, isn't it? Because you're like, I see what I did there. And you actually feel empowered because you can take back then a behaviour that was until then unconscious to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fear, isn't it? I had this. I'm not going to be able to remember it now. Don't say that to myself. It was about fear. Fear just needs to be understood. That's all it is. They're just things to be understood. So anything, I was like, what a great way to look at anything we're afraid of. We're only afraid because we don't understand it.
Yes, I love that. And it just changes the perspective.
Changes the perspective completely.
Love it.
And it's, I guess for everyday life, after an event or some sort of traumatic thing or something pissed us off or whatever it is, it's not just that event. It's also, you've got to apply, it's a way of living, isn't it? It's a way of being. So you've got to, that mindful living, I guess, managing all your relationships, how are you interacting with your kids, with your relatives, with your siblings, with your, having all of these chats in coaching sessions at the moment, which seems to go in themes.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Everyone seems to be having similar issues.
Yeah.
It's an everyday thing, but setting yourself up for success and having, daily routines and, overriding the old way of being and thinking and doing into the new way becomes the habit eventually. And then the new way becomes unconscious, but try to not become unconscious. Actually, you want to try and be conscious all the time and be aware of it with compassion. But in the long run, if you do that every day, little by little, A, it's not daunting. B, all of a sudden these things will happen. You just be like, whereas you before would have lost your shit, over to you.
Yeah.
Again.
No, I think it's a great place to leave this episode, I think. Focusing on that the best way to help others is to help yourself first.
Absolutely.
Or in conjunction with. Understanding others means understanding yourself. Having empathy for others. You must have empathy for yourself. Compassion. All the things that you want to apply to other people to help them. Turn it on yourself and ensure that you are presenting the most congruent version of yourself. That's how you help others.
Congruent. Great
Love
word.
it. That's another episode.
It is.
We'll leave it there. Thank you, Adam. That was a great little chat.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's over and done with quite quickly.
And I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, babes.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.